The National Curriculum Framework, NCF 2005, recommends that children's life at school must be linked to their life outside the school. This principle marks a departure from the legacy of bookish learning which continues to shape our system and causes a gap between the school, home and community. The syllabi and textbooks developed on the basis of NCF signify an attempt to implement this basic idea. They also attempt to discourage rote learning and the maintenance of sharp boundaries between different subject areas. We hope these measures will take us significantly further in the direction of a child-centered system of education outlined in the National Policy on Education, 1986. The success of this efforts depends on the steps that school principals and teachers will take to encourage children to reflect on their own learning and to pursue imaginative activities and questions. We must recognize that, given space, time and freedom, children generate new knowledge by engaging with the information passed on to them by adults. Treating the prescribed textbook as the sole basis of examination is one of the key reasons why other resources and sites of learning are ignored. Inculcating creativity and initiative is possible if we perceive and treat children as participants in learning, not as receivers of a fixed body of knowledge. These aims imply considerable change in school routines and mode of functioning. Flexibility in the daily timetable is as necessary as rigor in implementing the annual calendar so that the required number of teaching days are actually devoted to teaching. The methods used for teaching and evaluation will also determine how effective this textbook proves for making children's life at school a happy experience, rather than a source of stress or boredom. Syllabus designers have tried to address the problem of curricular burden by restructuring and reorienting knowledge at different stages with greater consideration for child psychology and the time available for teaching. The textbook attempts to enhance this endeavor by giving higher priority and space to opportunities for contemplation and wondering, discussion in small groups, and activities requiring hands-on experience. The National Council of Educational Research and Training, NCERT, appreciates the hard work done by the Textbook Development Committee responsible for this book. We wish to thank the chairperson of the Advisory Group in Social Sciences, Professor Hari Vasudevan, and the chief advisor for this book, Vibha Parthasarathi, for guiding the work of this committee. Several teachers contributed to the development of this textbook. We are grateful to their principals for making this possible. We are indebted to the institutions and organizations which have generously permitted us to draw upon their resources, material and personnel. We are especially grateful to the members of the National Monitoring Committee, appointed by the Department of Secondary and Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development under the chairpersonship of Professor Rinal Miri and Professor G.P. Deshpande, for their valuable time and contribution. As an organization committed to systemic reform and continuous improvement in the quality of its products, NCERT welcomes comments and suggestions which will enable us to undertake further revision and refinement. Director. New Delhi National Council of Educational. The 20th of December 2005 Research and Training. Contents. Forward. Chapter 1. India, Size and Location. Chapter 2. Physical features of India. Chapter 3. Drainage. Chapter 4. Climate. Chapter 5. Natural vegetation and wildlife. Chapter 6. Population. Chapter 1. India, Size and Location. India is one of the ancient civilizations in the world. It has achieved multifaceted socio-economic progress during the last 5 decades. It has moved forward displaying remarkable progress in the field of agriculture, industry, technology and overall economic development. India has also contributed significantly to the making of world history. The Tropic of Cancer, 23 degrees 30 N, divides the country into almost 2 equal parts. To the southeast and southwest of the mainland, lie the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Lakshadweep Islands in Bay of Bengal. Location. India is a vast country. Lying entirely in the northern hemisphere, the mainland extends between latitudes 8 degrees 4 N and 37 degrees 6 N and longitudes 68 degrees 7 E and 97 degrees 25 E of Bengal and Arabian Sea respectively. Find out the extent of these groups of islands from your atlas. Size. The land mass of India has an area of 3.28 million square km. India's total area accounts for about 2.4% of the total geographical area of the world. From the figure 1.2, it is clear that India is the seventh largest country of the world. India has a land boundary of about 15,200 kilometers, and the total length of the coastline of the mainland including Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep is 7,516.6 kilometers. India is bounded by the Young Fold Mountains in the northwest, north and northeast. South of about 22 degrees north latitude, it begins to taper, and extends towards the Indian Ocean, dividing it into two seas, the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on its east. Look at figure 1.3 and note that the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of the mainland is about 30 degrees. Despite this fact, the east-west extent appears to be smaller than the north-south extent. From Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh there is a time lag of 2 hours. Hence, time along the standard meridian of India, 82 degrees 30 E passing through Mirzapur, in Uttar Pradesh, is taken as the standard time for the whole country. The latitudinal extent influences the duration of the day and night, as one moves from south to north. India and the world. The Indian landmass has a central location between the East and the West Asia. India is a southward extension of the Asian continent. The trans-Indian Ocean routes which connect the countries of Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia provide a strategic central location to India. Note that the Deccan Peninsula protrudes into the Indian Ocean, thus helping India to establish close contact with West Asia, Africa and Europe from the western coast and with Southeast and East Asia from the eastern coast. No other country has a long coastline on the Indian Ocean as India has, and indeed, it is India's eminent position in the Indian Ocean which justifies the naming of an ocean after it. India's contacts with the world have continued through the ages, but her relationships through the land routes are much older than her maritime contacts. The various passes across the mountains in the north have provided passages to the ancient travelers, while the oceans restricted such interaction for a long time. These routes have contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since ancient times. The ideas of the Upanishads and the Ramayana, the stories of Panchtantra, the Indian numerals and the decimal system thus could reach many parts of the world. The spices, muslin and other merchandise were taken from India to different countries. On the other hand, the influence of Greek sculpture, and the architectural styles of dome and minarets from West Asia can be seen in different parts of our country. India's neighbors. India occupies an important strategic position in South Asia. India has 28 states and 7 union territories. India shares its land boundaries with Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest, China, Tibet, Nepal and Bhutan in the north, and Myanmar and Bangladesh in the east. Our southern neighbors across the sea consist of the two island countries, namely Sri Lanka and Maldives. Sri Lanka is separated from India, has had strong geographical and historical India by a narrow channel of sea formed by the Palk links with her neighbors. Look at the physical map Strait in the Gulf of Mannar, while Maldives Islands of Asia in your atlas, and note how India stands apart, are situated to the south of the Lakshadweep Islands from the rest of Asia. Chapter 2. Physical features of India. You have already learnt earlier that India is a vast country with varied landforms. What kind of terrain do you live in? If you live in the plains, you are familiar with the vast stretches of plain land. In contrast, if you live in hilly region, the rugged terrain with mountains and valleys are common features. In fact, our country has practically all major physical features of the earth, i.e. mountains, plains, deserts, plateaus and islands. You must be wondering how these physical features have been formed. We will learn more about major physical features of India and how they have been formed. We find different types of rocks. Some are very hard like marble, which has been used for making the Taj Mahal, and some are very soft like soapstone, which is used in making talcum powder. The color of soil varies from one place to the other because soil is formed out of different types of rocks. Have you ever thought about the causes of these variations? Most of these variations are caused due to differences in rock formations. India is a large landmass formed during different geological periods which has influenced her relief. Besides geological formations, a number of processes such as weathering, erosion and deposition have created and modified the relief to its present form. Earth scientists have attempted to explain the formation of physical features with the help of some theories based on certain evidences. One such plausible theory is the theory of plate tectonics. According to this theory, the crust, upper part, of the Earth has been formed out of 7 major and some minor plates. The movement of the plates results in the building up of stresses within the plates and the continental rocks above, leading to folding, faulting and volcanic activity. Broadly, these plate movements are classified into 3 types. While some plates come towards each other and form convergent boundary, some plates move away from each other and form divergent boundary. In the event of 2 plates coming together, they may either collide and crumble, or one may slide under the other. At times, they may also move horizontally past each other and form transform boundary. The movement of these plates have changed the position and size of the continents over millions of years. Such movements have also influenced the evolution of the present landform features relief of India. The oldest landmass, the peninsula part, was a part of the Gondwana land. The Gondwana land included India, Australia, South Africa and South America as one single land mass. The convectional currents split the crust into a number of pieces, thus leading to the drifting of the Indo-Australian plate after being separated from the Gondwana land, towards north. The northward drift resulted in the collision of the plate with the much larger Eurasian plate. Due to this collision, the sedimentary rocks which were accumulated in the geosyncline known as the Tethys were folded to form the mountain system of Western Asia and Himalaya. The Himalayan uplift out of the Tethys Sea and subsidence of the northern flank of the peninsular plateau resulted in the formation of a large basin. In due course of time, this depression gradually got filled with deposition of sediments by the rivers flowing from the mountains in the north and the peninsular plateau in the south. A flat land of extensive alluvial deposits led to the formation of the northern plains of India. The land of India displays great physical variation. Geologically, the peninsular plateau constitutes one of the ancient landmasses on the Earth's surface. It was supposed to be one of the most stable land blocks. The Himalayas and the northern plains are the most recent landforms. From the viewpoint of geology, Himalayan mountains form an unstable zone. The whole mountain system of Himalaya represents a very youthful topography with high peaks, deep valleys and fast-flowing rivers. The northern plains are formed of alluvial deposits. The peninsular plateau is composed of igneous and metamorphic rocks with gently rising hills and wide valleys. Major physiographic divisions. The physical features of India can be grouped under the following physiographic divisions. 1. The Himalayan mountains. 2. The northern plains. 3. The peninsular plateau. 4. The Indian desert. 5. The coastal plains. 6. The islands. The Himalayan mountains. The Himalayas, geologically young and structurally fold mountains, stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountain ranges run in a west-east direction from the Indus to the Brahmaputra. The Himalayas represent the loftiest and one of the most rugged mountain barriers of the world. They form an arc, which covers a distance of about 2,400 kilometers. Their width varies from 400 km in Kashmir to 150 kilometers in Arunachal Pradesh. The altitudinal variations are greater in the eastern half than those in the western half. The Himalaya consists of 3 parallel ranges in its longitudinal extent. A number of valleys lie between these ranges. The northernmost range is known as the Great or Inner Himalayas or the Himadri. It is the most continuous range consisting of the loftiest peaks with an average height of 6,000 meters. It contains all the prominent Himalayan peaks. The folds of Great Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature. The core of this part of Himalayas is composed of granite. It is perennially snowbound, and a number of glaciers descend from this range. The range lying to the south of the Himadri forms the most rugged mountain system and is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitude varies between 3,700 and 4,500 meters and the average width is of 50 kilometers. While the Pir Panjal range forms the longest and the most important range, the Dha Dar and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent ones. This range consists of the famous Valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and Kulu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill stations. The outermost range of the Himalayas is called the Shivaliks. They extend over a width of 1,050 kilometers and have an altitude varying between 900 and 1,100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located farther north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium. The longitudinal valley lying between Lesser Himalaya and the Shivaliks are known as duns. Dara Dun, Kotli Dun and Patli Dun are some of the well-known duns. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions have been demarcated by river valleys. For example, the part of Himalayas lying between Indus and Satluj has been traditionally known as Punjab Himalaya, but it is also known regionally as Kashmir and Himachal Himalaya from west to east respectively. The part of the Himalayas lying between Satluj and Kali rivers is known as Kumaun Himalayas. The Kali and Teesta rivers demarcate the Nepal Himalayas, and the part lying between Teesta and Dihang rivers is known as Assam Himalayas. There are regional names also in these broad categories. Find out some regional names of the Himalayas. The Brahmaputra marks the easternmost boundary of the Himalayas. Beyond the Dihang Gorge, the Himalayas bend sharply to the south and spread along the eastern boundary of India. They are known as the Purvanchal or the Eastern Hills and Mountains. These hills running through the northeastern states are mostly composed of strong sandstones which are sedimentary rocks. Covered with dense forests, they mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvanchal comprises the Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, Manipur Hills and the Mizo Hills. Some highest peaks of the Himalayas. Peak. Country. Height in meters. Mount Everest. Nipa, L 8,848 meters. Kanchenjunga. India. 8,598 meters. Makalu. Nepal. 8,481 meters. Dhaulagiri. Nepal. 8,172 meters. Nanga Parbat. India. 8,126 meters. Annapurna. Nepal. 8,078 meters. Nanda Devi. India. 7,817 meters. Kamat. India. 7,756 meters. Namcha Barwa. India. 7,756 meters. Gurla Mandata. Nepal. 7,728 meters. The Northern Plain. The Northern Plain has been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra along with their tributaries. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium in a vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalaya over millions of years formed this fertile plain. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square km, the plain being about 2,400 kilometers long and 320 kilometers broad, is a densely populated physiographic division. With a rich soil cover combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate, it is agriculturally a very productive part of India. The rivers coming from northern mountains are involved in depositional work. In the lower course, due to gentle slope, the velocity of the river decreases, which results in the formation of riverine islands. The rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt. These channels are known as distributaries. The northern plain is broadly divided into 3 sections. The western part of the northern plain is referred to as the Punjab Plains. Formed by the Indus and its tributaries, the larger part of this plain lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas and the Satluj, originate in the Himalaya. This section of the plain is dominated by the Doabs. The Ganga plain extends between Ghaggar and Teesta rivers. It is spread over the states of North India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partly Jharkhand and West Bengal. To its east, particularly in Assam, lies the Brahmaputra Plain. The northern plains are generally described as flat land with no variations in its relief. It is not true. These vast plains also have diverse relief features. According to the variations in relief features, the northern plains can be divided into 4 regions. The rivers, after descending from the mountains, deposit pebbles in a narrow belt of about 8 to 16 kilometers in width, lying parallel to the slopes of the Shiwaliks. It is known as Babar. All the streams disappear in this Babar belt. South of this belt, the streams and rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as Terai. This was a thickly forested region full of wildlife. The forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Locate Dudhwa National Park in this region. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of older alluvium. They lie above the flood plains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature. This part is known as Bongar. The soil in this region contains calcareous deposites, locally known as Kankar. The newer, younger deposits of the flood plains are called Kadar. They are renewed almost every year and so are fertile, thus, ideal for intensive agriculture. The Peninsular Plateau. The Peninsular Plateau is a tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land and thus, making it a part of the oldest landmass. The plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plateau consists of 2 broad divisions, namely, the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The part of the Peninsular Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau is known as the Central Highlands. The Vindhyan Range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest street. The further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. The flow of the rivers draining this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken, is from southwest to northeast, thus indicating the slope. The Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extensions of this plateau are locally known as the Bundelkhand and Baghelkhand. The Chotanagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension, drained by the Damodar River. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. The Satpura Range flanks its broad base in the north while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills and the Michael Range form its eastern extensions. Locate these hills and ranges in the physical map of India. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, locally known as Th. Meghalaya and Karbi Anglong Plateau. It is separated by a fault from the Chotanagpur Plateau. 3 prominent hill ranges from the west to east are the Garo, the Khasi and the Jaintia Hills. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Locate the Thal, Bur and the Pal Ghats in the physical map of India. The Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 1,600 meters as against 600 meters of the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nigiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats cause orographic rain by facing the rain-bearing moist winds to rise along the western slopes of the Ghats. The Western Ghats are known by different local names. The height of the Western Ghats progressively increases from north to south. The highest peaks include the Ani Mudi 2,695 meters, and the Dota Beta 2,637 meters. Mahendragiri, 1,501 meters, is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Chevroy Hills and the Javadi Hills are located to the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Locate the famous hill stations of Udagamandalam, popularly known as Odi and the Kodaikanal. One of the distinct features of the Peninsular Plateau is the black soil area known as Dacian Trap. This is of volcanic origin, hence the rocks are igneous. Actually, these rocks have denuded over time and are responsible for the formation of black soil. The Aravalli Hills lie on the western and northwestern margins of the peninsular plateau. These are highly eroded hills and are found as broken hills. They extend from Gujarat to Delhi in a southwest-northeast direction. The Indian Desert. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 millimeters per year. It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after they disappear into the sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only large river in this region. Barchan's crescent-shaped dunes cover larger areas, but longitudinal dunes become more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of barchans. The coastal plains. The peninsular plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips, running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of 3 sections. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan, Mumbai. Goa. The central stretch is called the Kannad Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar Coast. The plain along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Sarkar, while the southern part is known as the Coromandel Coast. Large rivers such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilika is an important feature along the eastern coast. The islands. You have already seen that India has a vast mainland. Besides this, the country has also 2 groups of islands. Can you identify these island groups? Locate the Lakshadweep Islands group lying close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. Earlier they were known as Laccadive, Minicoy and Amandive. In 1973 these were named as Lakshadweep. It covers small area of 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. The Pidley Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. Now you see the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal extending from north to south. These are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into 2 broad categories, the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that these islands are an elevated portion of submarine mountains. These island groups are of great strategic importance for the country. There is great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands too. These islands lie close to equator and experience equatorial climate and has thick forest cover. A detailed account of the different physiographic units highlights the unique features of each region. It would, however, be clear that each region complements the other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. The northern mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilizations. The plateau is a storehouse of minerals, which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and island groups provide sites for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities of development. Corals. Coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms, which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete hard rock-like substance. The coral secretion and their skeletons from coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly of 3 kinds: barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are circular or horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. Chapter 3. Drainage. The term drainage describes the river system of an area. Look at the physical map. You will notice that small streams flowing from different directions come together to form the main river, which ultimately drains into a large water body such as a lake or a sea or an ocean. The area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. A closer observation on a map will indicate that any elevated area, such as a mountain or an upland, separates two drainage basins. Such an upland is known as a water divide. Drainage systems in India. The drainage systems of India are mainly controlled by the broad relief features of the subcontinent. Accordingly, the Indian rivers are divided into two major groups. 1. The Himalayan rivers, and 2. The peninsular rivers. Apart from originating from the two major physiographic regions of India, the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers are different from each other in many ways. Most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. It means that they have water throughout the year. These rivers receive water from rain as well as from melted snow from the lofty mountains. The two major Himalayan rivers, the Indus and the Brahmaputra, originate from the north of the mountain ranges. They have cut through the mountains, making gorges. The Himalayan rivers have long courses from their source to the sea. They perform intensive erosional activity in their upper courses and carry huge loads of silt and sand. In the middle and the lower courses, these rivers form meanders, oxbow lakes, and many other depositional features in their floodplains. They also have well-developed deltas. A large number of the peninsular rivers are seasonal, as their flow is dependent on rainfall. During the dry season, even the large rivers have reduced flow of water in their channels. The peninsular rivers have shorter and shallower courses as compared to their Himalayan counterparts. However, some of them originate in the central highlands and flow towards the west. Can you identify two such large rivers? Most of the rivers of peninsular India originate in the western Ghats and flow towards the Bay of Bengal. The Himalayan rivers. The major Himalayan rivers are the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. These rivers are long, and are joined by many large and important tributaries. A river along with its tributaries may be called a river system. The Indus River System. The river Indus rises in Tibet, near Lake Mansarovar. Flowing west, it enters India in the Ladakh district of Jammu and Kashmir. It forms a picturesque gorge in this part. Several tributaries, the Zaskar, the Nubra, the Shyok and the Hunza, join it in the Kashmir region. The Indus flows through Baltistan and Gilgit and emerges from the mountains at Attock. The Satluj, the Beas, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum join together to enter the Indus near Mithankot in Pakistan. Beyond this, the Indus flows southwards, eventually reaching the Arabian Sea, east of Karachi. The Indus plain has a very gentle slope. With a total length of 2,900 kilometers, the Indus is one of the longest rivers of the world. A little over a third of the Indus basin is located in India in the states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and the Punjab, and the rest is in Pakistan. The Ganga River System. The headwaters of the Ganga, called the Bhagirathi, is fed by the Gangotri Glacier and joined by the Alananda at Devaprayag in Uttaranchal. At Haridwar, the Ganga emerges from the mountains onto the plains. The Ganga is joined by many tributaries from the Himalayas, a few of them being major rivers such as the Yamuna, the Ghaghara, the Gandak and the Kosi. The river Yamuna rises from the Yamunotri Glacier in the Himalayas. It flows parallel to the Ganga and as a right bank tributary, meets the Ganga at Allahabad. The Ghaghara, the Gandak and the Kosi rise in the Nepal Himalaya. They are the rivers, which flood parts of the northern plains every year, causing widespread damage to life and property but enriching the soil for the extensive agricultural lands. The main tributaries, which come from the peninsular uplands, are the Chambal, the Betwa and the Sun. These rise from semi-arid areas, have shorter courses and do not carry much water in them. Find out where and how they ultimately join the Ganga. Enlarged with the waters from its right and left bank tributaries, the Ganga flows eastwards till Faraka in West Bengal. This is the northernmost point of the Ganga Delta. The river bifurcates here. The Bhagirathi Hooghly, a distributary, flows southwards through the deltaic plains to the Bay of Bengal. The main stream flows southwards into Bangladesh and is joined by the Brahmaputra. Further downstream, it is known as the Meghna. This mighty river, with waters from the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, flows into the Bay of Bengal. The delta formed by these rivers is known as the Sundarban Delta. The length of the Ganga is over 2,500 kilometers. Look at figure 3.4. Can you identify the type of drainage pattern formed by the Ganga river system? Ambala is located on the water divide between Indus and the Ganga river systems. The plains from Ambala to the Sundarban stretch over nearly 1,800 kilometers, but the fall in its slope is hardly 300 meters. In other words, there is a fall of just 1 meter for every 6 kilometers. Therefore, the river develops large meanders. The Brahmaputra river system. The Brahmaputra rises in Tibet east of Mansarovar Lake, very close to the sources of the Indus and the Satluj. It is slightly longer than the Indus, and most of its course lies outside India. It flows eastwards parallel to the Himalayas. On reaching the Namcha Barwa, 7,757 meters, it takes a U-turn and enters India in Arunachal Pradesh through a gorge. Here, it is called the Dihang, and it is joined by the Dibang, the Lohit, the Kenyala and many other tributaries to form the Brahmaputra in Assam. In Tibet the river carries a smaller volume of water and less silt as it is a cold and a dry area. In India it passes through a region of high rainfall. Here the river carries a large volume of water and considerable amount of silt. The Brahmaputra has a braided channel in its entire length in Assam and forms many riverine islands. Do you remember the name of the world's largest riverine island formed by the Brahmaputra? Every year during the rainy season, the river overflows its banks, causing widespread devastation due to floods in Assam and Bangladesh. Unlike other North Indian rivers, the Brahmaputra is marked by huge deposits of silt on its bed, causing the river bed to rise. The river also shifts its channel frequently. The peninsular rivers. The main water divide in peninsular India is formed by the Western Ghats, which runs from north to south close to the western coast. Most of the major rivers of the peninsula, such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri, flow eastwards and drain into the Bay of Bengal. These rivers make deltas at their mouths. There are numerous small streams flowing west of the Western Ghats. The Narmada and the Tapi are the only long rivers which flow west and make estuaries. The drainage basins of the peninsular rivers are comparatively small in size. The Narmada Basin. The Narmada rises in the Amarkantak Hills in Madhya Pradesh. It flows towards the west in a rift valley formed due to faulting. On its way to the sea, the Narmada creates many picturesque locations. The Marble Rocks, near Jabalpur, where the Narmada flows through a deep gorge, and the Dwadar Falls, where the river plunges over steep rocks, are some of the notable ones. All the tributaries of the Narmada are very short, and most of these join the main stream at right angles. The Narmada Basin covers parts of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The Tapi Basin. The Tapi rises in the Satpura Ranges, in the Batol district of Madhya Pradesh. It also flows in a rift valley parallel to the Narmada, but it is much shorter in length. Its basin covers parts of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. The coastal plains between Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea are very narrow. Hence, the coastal rivers are short. The main west-flowing rivers are Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharathpuzha and Periyar. Find out the states in which these rivers drain the water. The Godavari Basin. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river. It rises from the slopes of the Western Ghats in the Nasik district of Maharashtra. Its length is about 1,500 kilometers. It drains into the Bay of Bengal. Its drainage basin is also the largest among the peninsular rivers. The basin covers parts of Maharashtra. About 50% of the basin area lies in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa and Andhra Pradesh. The Godavari is joined by a number of tributaries such as the Purna, the Wardha, the Pranhita, the Mandra, the Wanganga and the Penganga. The last three tributaries are very large. Because of its length and the area it covers, it is also known as the Dakshin Ganga. The Mahanadi Basin. The Mahanadi rises in the highlands of Chhattisgarh. It flows through Orissa to reach the Bay of Bengal. The length of the river is about 860 kilometers. Its drainage basin is shared by Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Orissa. The Krishna Basin. Rising from a spring near Mahabaleshwar, the Krishna flows for about 1,400 kilometers and reaches the Bay of Bengal. The Tungabhadra, the Koyana, the Gatprabha, the Musi and the Bhima are some of its tributaries. Its drainage basin is shared by Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The Kaveri Basin. The Kaveri rises in the Brahmagiri range of the Western Ghats and it reaches the Bay of Bengal in south of Cuddalore, in Tamil Nadu. Total length of the river is about 760 kilometers. Its main tributaries are Amravati, Bhavani, Himavati and Kabini. Its basin drains parts of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Beside these major rivers, there are some smaller rivers flowing towards the east. The Damodar, the Brahmani, the Baitarni and the Sabarn Rekha are some notable examples. Locate them in Atlas. Lakes. You may be familiar with the Valley of Kashmir and the famous Dal Lake, the houseboats and shikaras, which attract thousands of tourists every year. Similarly, you may have visited some other tourist spot near a lake and enjoyed boating, swimming and other water games. Imagine that if Srinagar, Nainital and other tourists places did not have a lake, would they have been as attractive as they are today? Have you ever tried to know the importance of lakes in making a place attractive to tourists? Apart from attraction for tourists, lakes are also useful to human beings in many ways. India has many lakes. These differ from each other in the size and other characteristics. Most lakes are permanent, some contain water only during the rainy season, like the lakes in the basins of inland drainage of semi-arid regions. There are some of the lakes which are the result of the action of glaciers and ice sheets, while the others have been formed by wind, river action, and human activities. A meandering river across a floodplain forms cutoffs that later develop into oxbow lakes. Spits and bars form lagoons in the coastal areas, e.g. the Chilika Lake, the Pulicat Lake, the Kalaru Lake. Lakes in the region of inland drainage are sometimes seasonal, for example, the Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, which is a saltwater lake. Its water is used for producing salt. Most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan region. They are of glacial origin. In other words, they formed when glaciers dug out a basin, which was later filled with snowmelt. The Wooler Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, in contrast, is the result of the tectonic activity. It is the largest freshwater lake in India. The Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak and Barapani are some other important freshwater lakes. Apart from natural lakes, the damming of the rivers for the generation of hydel power has also led to the formation of lakes such as Guru Gobind Sagar, Bakra Nangal project. Lakes are of great value to human beings. A lake helps to regulate the flow of a river. During heavy rainfall, it prevents flooding and during the dry season, it helps to maintain an even flow of water. Lakes can also be used for developing hydel power. They moderate the climate of the surroundings, maintain the aquatic ecosystem, enhance natural beauty, help develop tourism and provide recreation. Role of rivers in the economy. Rivers have been of fundamental importance throughout the human history. Water from the rivers is a basic natural resource, essential for various human activities. Therefore, the river banks have attracted settlers from ancient times. These settlements have now become big cities. Make a list of cities in your state which are located on the bank of a river. Using rivers for irrigation, navigation, hydropower generation is of special significance, particularly to a country like India, where agriculture is the major source of livelihood of the majority of its population. River pollution. The growing domestic, municipal, industrial and agricultural demand for water from rivers naturally affects the quality of water. As a result, more and more water is being drained out of the rivers, reducing their volume. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial effluents are emptied into the rivers. This affects not only the quality of water but also the self-cleansing capacity of the river. For example, given the adequate streamflow, the Ganga water is able to dilute and assimilate pollution loads within 20 kilometers of large cities. But the increasing urbanization and industrialization do not allow it to happen, and the pollution level of many rivers has been rising. Concern over rising pollution in our rivers led to the launching of various action plans to clean the rivers. Have you heard about such action plans? How does our health get affected by polluted river water? Think about life of human beings without fresh water. Arrange a debate on this topic in the class. Drainage patterns. The streams within a drainage basin form certain patterns, depending on the slope of land, underlying rock structure as well as the climatic conditions of the area. These are dendritic, trellis, rectangular, and radial patterns. The dendritic pattern develops where the river channel follows the slope of the terrain. The stream with its tributaries resembles the branches of a tree, thus the name dendritic. A river joined by its tributaries, at approximately right angles, develops a trellis pattern. A trellis drainage pattern develops where hard and soft rocks exist parallel to each other. A rectangular drainage pattern develops on a strongly jointed rocky terrain. The radial pattern develops when streams flow in different directions from a central peak or dome-like structure. A combination of several patterns may be found in the same drainage basin. National River Conservation Plan, NRCP. The activities of Ganga Action Plan, GAP-FACE, initiated in 1985, were declared closed on 31 March 2000. The Steering Committee of the National River Conservation Authority reviewed the progress of the GAP and necessary correction on the basis of lessons learned and experiences gained from GAP-FACE. These have been applied to the major polluted rivers of the country under the NRCP. The Ganga Action Plan, GAP-FACE, has been merged with the NRCP. The expanded NRCP now covers 152 towns located along 27 interstate rivers in 16 states. Under this action plan, pollution abatement works are being taken up in 57 towns. A total of 215 schemes of pollution abatement have been sanctioned. So far, 69 schemes have been completed under this action plan. 1 million liters of sewage is targeted to be intercepted, diverted and treated. Do you know? The river Kaveri makes the second biggest waterfall in India. It is known as Sivasamudram. The fall supplies hydroelectric power to Mysore, Bangalore and the Kolar gold field. 71% of the world's surface is covered with water, but 97% of that is salt water. Of the 3% that is available as freshwater, 3/4 of it is trapped as ice. Chapter 4. Climate. In the last 2 chapters you have read about the landforms and the drainage of our country. These are the 2 of the 3 basic elements that one learns about the natural environment of any area. In this chapter you will learn about the third, that is, the atmospheric conditions that prevail over our country. Why do we wear woolens in December, or why it is hot and uncomfortable in the month of May, and why it rains in June-July? The answers to all these questions can be found out by studying about the climate of India. Climate refers to the sum total of weather conditions and variations over a large area for a long period of time, more than 30 years. Weather refers to the state of the atmosphere over an area at any point of time. The elements of weather and climate are the same, i.e., temperature, atmospheric pressure, wind, humidity and precipitation. You may have observed that the weather conditions fluctuate very often even within a day. But there is some common pattern over a few weeks or months, i.e., days are cool or hot, windy or calm, cloudy or bright, and wet or dry. On the basis of the generalized monthly atmospheric conditions, the year is divided into seasons such as winter, summer or rainy seasons. Perceptible regional variations in climatic conditions within the country. Let us take 2 important elements, temperature and precipitation, and examine how they vary from place to place and season to season. In summer, the mercury occasionally touches 50 degrees Celsius in some parts of the Rajasthan desert, whereas it may be around 20 degrees Celsius in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. On a winter night, temperature at Dras in Jammu and Kashmir may be as low as minus 45 degrees Celsius. Tiruvananthapuram, on the other hand, may have a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. Let us now look at precipitation. There are variations not only in the form and types of precipitation but also in its amount and the seasonal distribution. While precipitation is mostly in the form of snowfall in the upper parts of Himalayas, it rains over the rest of the country. The annual precipitation varies from over 400 centimeters in Meghalaya to less than 10 centimeters in Ladakh and western Rajasthan. Most parts of the country receive rainfall from June to September. But some parts like the Tamil Nadu coast get most of its rain during October and November. In general, coastal areas experience less contrasts in temperature. Kandi Tyons Seasonal contrasts are more in the interior of the country. There is decrease in rainfall generally from east to west in the northern plains. These variations have given rise to variety in lives of people, in terms of the food they eat, the clothes they wear, and also the kind of houses they live in. Climatic controls. There are 6 major controls of the climate of any place. They are latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, continentality, ocean currents, and relief features. Due to the curvature of the Earth, the amount of solar energy received varies according to latitude. As a result, air temperature decreases from the equator towards the poles. As one goes from the surface of the Earth to higher altitudes, the atmosphere becomes less dense and temperature decreases. The hills are therefore cooler during summers. The pressure and wind system of any area depend on the latitude and altitude of the place. Thus it influences the temperature and rainfall pattern. The sea exerts a moderating influence on climate. As the distance from the sea increases, its moderating influence decreases and the people experience extreme weather conditions. This condition is known as continentality, i.e. very hot during summers and very cold during winters. Ocean currents along with onshore winds affect the climate of the coastal areas. For example, any coastal area with warm or cold currents flowing past it will be warmed or cooled if the winds are onshore. Finally, relief too plays a major role in determining the climate of a place. High mountains act as barriers for cold or hot winds. They may also cause precipitation if they are high enough and lie in the path of rain-bringing winds. The leeward side of mountains remains dry. Factors affecting India's climate. Latitude. The Tropic of Cancer passes through the middle of the country from the Rann of Kutch in the west to Mizoram in the east. Almost half of the country, lying south of the Tropic of Cancer, belongs to the tropical area. All the remaining area, north of the tropic, lies in the subtropics. Therefore, India's climate has characteristics of tropical as well as subtropical climates. Altitude. India has mountains to the north, which have an average height of about 6,000 meters. India also has a vast coastal area where the maximum elevation is about 30 meters. The Himalayas prevent the cold winds from Central Asia from entering the subcontinent. It is because of these mountains that this subcontinent experiences comparatively milder winters as compared to Central Asia. Pressure and winds. The climate and associated weather conditions in India are governed by the following atmospheric conditions: pressure and surface winds, upper air circulation, and western cyclonic disturbances and tropical cyclones. India lies in the region of northeasterly winds. These winds originate from the subtropical high-pressure belt of the northern hemisphere. They blow south, get deflected to the right due to the Coriolis force, and move on towards the equatorial low-pressure area. Generally, these winds carry very little moisture as they originate and blow over land. Therefore, they bring little or no rain. Hence, India should have been an arid land, but it is not so. Let us see why. The pressure and wind conditions over India are unique. During winter, there is a high-pressure area north of the Himalayas. Cold dry winds blow from this region to the low-pressure areas over the oceans to the south. In summer, a low-pressure area develops over interior Asia as well as over northwestern India. This causes a complete reversal of the direction of winds during summer. Air moves from the high-pressure area over the southern Indian Ocean, in a southeasterly direction, crosses the equator, and turns right towards the low-pressure areas over the Indian subcontinent. These are known as the southwest monsoon winds. These winds blow over the warm oceans, gather moisture and bring widespread rainfall over the mainland of India. The upper air circulation in this region is dominated by a westerly flow. An important component of this flow is the jet stream. These jet streams are located approximately over 27 degrees 30 degrees north latitude, therefore, they are known as subtropical westerly jet streams. Over India, these jet streams blow south of the Himalayas, all through the year except in summer. The western cyclonic disturbances experienced in the north and northwestern parts of the country are brought in by this westerly flow. In summer, the subtropical westerly jet stream moves north of the Himalayas with the apparent movement of the sun. An easterly jet stream, called the tropical easterly jet stream, blows over peninsular India, approximately over 14 degrees north during the summer months. The Indian monsoon. The climate of India is strongly influenced by monsoon winds. The sailors who came to India in historic times were one of the first to have noticed the phenomenon of the monsoon. They benefited from the reversal of the wind system as they came by sailing ships at the mercy of winds. The Arabs, who had also come to India as traders, named this seasonal reversal of the wind system, monsoon. The monsoons are experienced in the tropical area roughly between 20 degrees north and 20 degrees south. To understand the mechanism of the monsoons, the following facts are important. The differential heating and cooling of land and water creates low pressure on the landmass of India while the seas around experience comparatively high pressure. B. The shift of the position of Intertropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ, in summer, over the Ganga Plain. This is the equatorial trough normally positioned about 5 degrees north of the equator, also known as the monsoontrough during the monsoon season. C. The presence of the high-pressure area, east of Madagascar, approximately at 20 degrees south over the Indian Ocean. The intensity and position of this high-pressure area affects the Indian monsoon. D. The Tibetan Plateau gets intensely heated during summer, which results in strong vertical air currents and the formation of high pressure over the plateau at about 9 kilometers above sea level. E. The movement of the westerly jet stream to the north of the Himalayas and the presence of the tropical easterly jet stream over the Indian peninsula during summer. Apart from this, it has also been noticed that changes in the pressure conditions over the southern oceans also affect the monsoons. Normally, when the tropical eastern South Pacific Ocean experiences high pressure, the tropical eastern Indian Ocean experiences low pressure. But in certain years, there is a reversal in the pressure conditions and the eastern Pacific has lower pressure in comparison to the eastern Indian Ocean. This periodic change in pressure conditions is known as the Southern Oscillation or SO. The difference in pressure over Tahiti, Pacific Ocean, 18 degrees south, 149 degrees west, and Darwin in northern Australia, Indian Ocean, 12 degrees 30s, 131 degrees east, is computed to predict the intensity of the monsoons. If the pressure differences were negative, it would mean below average in late monsoons. A feature connected with the SO is the El Niño, a warm ocean current that flows past the Peruvian coast, in place of the cold Peruvian current, every 2 to 5 years. The changes in pressure conditions are connected to the El Niño. Hence, the phenomenon is referred to as ENSO, El Niño Southern Oscillations. The onset of the monsoon and withdrawal. The monsoon, unlike the trades, are not steady winds but are pulsating in nature, affected by different atmospheric conditions encountered by it, on its way over the warm tropical seas. The duration of the monsoon is between 100,000 and 120 days from early June to mid-September. Around the time of its arrival, the normal rainfall increases suddenly and continues constantly for several days. This is known as the burst of the monsoon, and can be distinguished from the premonsoon showers. The monsoon arrives at the southern tip of the Indian peninsula generally by the first week of June. Subsequently, it divides into two, the Arabian Sea branch and the Bay of Bengal branch. The Arabian Sea branch reaches Mumbai about 10 days later on approximately the 10th of June. This is a fairly rapid advance. The Bay of Bengal branch also advances rapidly and arrives in Assam in the first week of June. The lofty mountains cause the monsoon winds to deflect towards the west over the Ganga Plains. By mid-June, the Arabian Sea branch of the monsoon arrives over Saurashtra-Cooch in the central part of the country. The Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal branches of the monsoon merge over the northwestern part of The Ganga Plains. Delhi generally receives the monsoon showers from the Bay of Bengal branch by the end of June, tentative date is 29th of June. By the first week of July, western Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana and eastern Rajasthan experience the monsoon. By mid-July, the monsoon reaches Himachal Pradesh and the rest of the country. Withdrawal or the retreat of the monsoon is a more gradual process. The withdrawal of the monsoon begins in northwestern states of India by early September. By mid-October, it withdraws completely from the northern half of the peninsula. The withdrawal from the southern half of the peninsula is fairly rapid. By early December, the monsoon has withdrawn from the rest of the country. The islands receive the very first monsoon showers, progressively from south to north, from the first week of April to the first week of May. The withdrawal takes place progressively from north to south from the first week of December to the first week of January. By this time, the rest of the country is already under the influence of the winter monsoon. The seasons. The monsoon type of climate is characterized by a distinct seasonal pattern. The weather conditions greatly change from one season to the other. These changes are particularly noticeable in the interior parts of the country. The coastal areas do not experience much variation in temperature, though there is variation in rainfall pattern. How many seasons are experienced in your place? 4 main seasons can be identified in India: the cold weather season, the hot weather season, the advancing monsoon, and the reader-eating monsoon, with some regional variations. The cold weather season, winter. The cold weather season begins from mid-November in northern India and stays till February. December and January are the coldest months in the northern part of India. The temperature decreases from south to the north. The average temperature of Chennai, on the eastern coast, is between 24 degrees 25 degrees Celsius, while in the northern plains, it ranges between 10 degrees 15 degrees Celsius. Days are warm and nights are cold. Frost is common in the north, and the higher slopes of the Himalayas experience snowfall. During this season, the northeast trade winds prevail over the country. They blow from land to sea, and hence, for most part of the country, it is a dry season. Some amount of rainfall occurs on the Tamil Nadu coast from these winds, as here they blow from sea to land. In the northern part of the country, a feeble high-pressure region develops, with light winds moving outwards from this area. Influenced by the relief, these winds blow through the Ganga Valley from the west and the northwest. The weather is normally marked by clear sky, low temperatures and low humidity, and feeble, variable winds. A characteristic feature of the cold weather season over the northern plains is the inflow of cyclonic disturbances from the west and the northwest. These low-pressure systems originate over the Mediterranean Sea in western Asia and move into India, along with the westerly flow. They cause the much-needed winter rains over the plains and snowfall in the mountains. Although the total amount of winter rainfall, locally known as Mahawatt, is small, they are of immense importance for the cultivation of rabi crops. The peninsular region does not have a well-defined cold season. There is hardly any noticeable seasonal change in temperature pattern during winters due to the moderating influence of the sea. The hot weather season, summer. Due to the apparent northward movement of the sun, the global heat belt shifts northward. As such, from March to May, it is hot weather season in India. The influence of the shifting of the heat belt can be seen clearly from temperature recordings taken during March-May at different latitudes. In March, the highest temperature is about 38 degrees Celsius, recorded on the Deccan Plateau. In April, temperatures in Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh are around 42 degrees Celsius. In May, temperature of 45 degrees Celsius is common in the northwestern parts of the country. In peninsular India, temperatures remain lower due to the moderating influence of the oceans. The summer months experience rising temperature and falling air pressure in the northern part of the country. Towards the end of May, an elongated low-pressure area develops in the region, extending from the Thar Desert in the northwest to Patna and Chotanagpur Plateau in the east and southeast. Circulation of air begins to set in around this trough. A striking feature of the hot weather season is the loo. These are strong, gusty, hot, dry winds blowing during the day over the north and northwestern India. Sometimes they even continue until late in the evening. Direct exposure to these winds may even prove to be fatal. Dust storms are very common during the month of May in northern India. These storms bring temporary relief as they lower the temperature and may bring light rain and cool breeze. This is also the season for localized thunderstorms, associated with violent winds, torrential downpours, often accompanied by hail. In West Bengal, these storms are known as the Kal Baisakhi calamity for the month of Baisakh. Towards the close of the summer season, pre-monsoon showers are common, especially in Kerala and Karnataka. They help in the early ripening of mangoes, and are often referred to as mango showers. Advancing monsoon, the rainy season. By early June, the low-pressure condition over the northern plains intensifies. It attracts the trade winds of the southern hemisphere. These southeast trade winds originate over the warm subtropical areas of the southern oceans. They cross the equator and blow in a southwesterly direction, entering the Indian peninsula as the southwest monsoon. As these winds blow over warm oceans, they bring abundant moisture to the subcontinent. These winds are strong and blow at an average velocity of 30 km per hour. With the exception of the extreme northwest, the monsoon winds cover the country in about a month. The inflow of the southwest monsoon into India brings about a total change in the weather. Early in the season, the windward side of the Western Ghats receives very heavy rainfall, more than 250 centimeters. The Deccan Plateau and parts of Madhya Pradesh also receive some amount of rain in spite of lying in the rain shadow area. The maximum rainfall of this season is received in the northeastern part of the country. Masanram in the southern ranges of the Khasi Hills receives the highest average rainfall in the world. Rainfall in the Ganga Valley decreases from the east to the west. Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat get scanty rainfall. Another phenomenon associated with the monsoon is its tendency to have breaks in rainfall. Thus, it has wet and dry spells. In other words, the monsoon rains take place only for a few days at a time. They are interspersed with rainless intervals. These breaks in monsoon are related to the movement of the monsoon trough. For various reasons, the trough and its axis keep on moving northward or southward, which determines the spatial distribution of rainfall. When the axis of the monsoon trough lies over the plains, rainfall is good in these parts. On the other hand, whenever the axis shifts closer to the Himalayas, there are longer dry spells in the plains, and widespread rain occur in the mountainous catchment areas of the Himalayan rivers. These heavy rain bring in their wake devastating floods, causing damage to life and property in the plains. The frequency and intensity of tropical depressions, too, determine the amount and duration of monsoon rains. These depressions form at the head of the Bay of Bengal and cross over to the mainland. The depressions follow the axis of the monsoon trough of low pressure. The monsoon is known for its uncertainties. The alternation of dry and wet spells vary in intensity, frequency and duration. While it causes heavy floods one part, it may be responsible for droughts in the other. It is often irregular in its arrival and its retreat. Hence, it sometimes disturbs the farming schedule of millions of farmers all over the country. Retreating monsoon, the transition season. During October-November, with the apparent movement of the sun towards the south, the monsoon trough or the low-pressure trough over the northern plains becomes weaker. This is gradually replaced by a high-pressure system. The southwest monsoon winds weaken and start withdrawing gradually. By the beginning of October, the monsoon withdraws from the northern plains. The months of October-November form a period of transition from hot rainy season to dry winter conditions. The retreat of the monsoon is marked by clear skies and rise in temperature. While day temperatures are high, nights are cool and pleasant. The land is still moist. Owing to the conditions of high temperature and humidity, the weather becomes rather oppressive during the day. This is commonly known as October heat. In the second half of October, the mercury begins to fall rapidly in northern India. The low-pressure conditions, over northwestern India, get transferred to the Bay of Bengal by early November. This shift is associated with the occurrence of cyclonic depressions, which originate over the Andaman Sea. These cyclones generally cross the eastern coasts of India, cause heavy and widespread rain. These tropical cyclones are often very destructive. The thickly populated deltas of the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri are frequently struck by cyclones, which cause great damage to life and property. Sometimes, these cyclones arrive at the coasts of Orissa, West Bengal and Bangladesh. The bulk of the rainfall of the Coromandel coast is derived from depressions and cyclones. Distribution of rainfall. The western coast and northeastern India receive over about 400 centimeters of rainfall annually. However, it is less than 60 centimeters in western Rajasthan and adjoining parts of Gujarat, Haryana and Punjab. Rainfall is equally low in the interior of the Deccan Plateau, and east of the Sahyadris. Why do these regions receive low rainfall? A third area of low precipitation is around Leh in Jammu and Kashmir. The rest of the country receives moderate rainfall. Snowfall is restricted to the Himalayan region. Owing to the nature of monsoons, the annual rainfall is highly variable from year to year. Variability is high in the regions of low rainfall such as parts of Rajasthan, Gujarat and the leeward side of the Western Ghats. As such, while areas of high rainfall are liable to be affected by floods, areas of low rainfall are drought-prone. Monsoon is a unifying bond. You have already known the way the Himalayas protect the subcontinent from extremely cold winds from Central Asia. This enables northern India to have uniformly higher temperatures when compared to other areas on the same latitudes. Similarly, the peninsular plateau, under the influence of the sea from three sides, has moderate temperatures. Despite such moderating influences, there are great variations in the temperature conditions. Nevertheless, the unifying influence of the monsoon on the Indian subcontinent is quite perceptible. The seasonal alteration of the wind systems and the associated weather conditions provide a rhythmic cycle of seasons. Even the uncertainties of rain and uneven distribution are very much typical of the monsoons. The Indian landscape, its animal and plant life, its entire agricultural calendar and the life of the people, including their festivities, revolve around this phenomenon. Year after year, people of India from north to south and from east to west, eagerly await the arrival of the monsoon. These monsoon winds bind the whole country by providing water to set the agricultural activities in motion. The river valleys which carry this water also unite as a single river valley unit. Do you know? The word monsoon is derived from the Arabic word, mausam, which literally means season. Monsoon refers to the seasonal reversal in the wind direction during a year. In certain places there is a wide difference between day and night temperatures. In the Thar Desert the day temperature may rise to 50 degrees Celsius, and drop down to near 15 degrees Celsius the same night. On the other hand, there is hardly any difference in day and night temperatures. In the Andaman and Nicobar Islands or in Kerala, Coriolis force, an apparent force caused by the Earth's rotation. The Coriolis force is responsible for deflecting winds towards the right in the northern hemisphere and towards the left in the southern hemisphere. This is also known as Farrell's law. Western cyclonic disturbances. The western cyclonic disturbances are weather phenomena of the winter months brought in by the westerly flow from the Mediterranean region. They usually influence the weather of the north and northwestern regions of India. Tropical cyclones occur during the monsoon as well as in October-November, and are part of the easterly flow. These disturbances affect the coastal regions of the country. Have you read or heard about the disasters caused by them on Orissa and Andhra Pradesh coast? Jet stream. These are a narrow belt of high altitude, above 12,000 meters, westerly winds in the troposphere. Their speed varies from about 110 km per hour in summer to about 184 km per hour in winter. A number of separate jet streams have been identified. The most constant are the mid-latitude and the subtropical jet stream. Intertropical Convergence Zone. The Intertropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ, is a broad trough of low pressure in equatorial latitudes. This is where the northeast and the southeast trade winds converge. This convergence zone lies more or less parallel to the equator but moves north or south with the apparent movement of the sun. El Niño. This is a name given to the periodic development of a warm ocean current along the coast of Peru as a temporary replacement of the cold Peruvian current. El Niño is a Spanish word meaning the child, and refers to the baby Christ, as this current starts flowing during Christmas. The presence of the El Niño leads to an increase in Sezierface temperatures and weakening of the trade winds in the region. Chapter 5. Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. Have you observed the type of trees, bushes, grasses, and birds in the fields and parks in and around your school? Are they similar or there are variations? India being a vast country, you can imagine the types of bioforms available throughout the country. Our country, India, is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world. With about 47,000 plant species, India occupies 10th place in the world and 4th in Asia in plant diversity. There are about 15,000 flowering plants in India, which account for 6% in the world's total number of flowering plants. The country has many non-flowering plants such as ferns, algae, and fungi. India also has 89,000 species of animals as well as a rich variety of fish in its fresh and marine waters. Natural vegetation refers to a plant community which has grown naturally without human aid and has been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. This is termed as a virgin vegetation. Thus, cultivated crops and fruits, orchards form part of vegetation but not natural vegetation. The term flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. Similarly, the species of animals are referred to as fauna. This huge diversity in flora and fauna kingdom is due to the following factors. Relief. Land. Land affects the natural vegetation directly and indirectly. Do you expect the same type of vegetation in mountainous, plateau, and plain areas or in dry and wet regions? The nature of land influences the type of vegetation. The fertile level is generally devoted to agriculture. The undulating and rough terrains are areas where grassland and woodlands develop and give shelter to a variety of wildlife. Soil. The soils also vary over space. Different types of soils provide basis for different types of vegetation. The sandy soils of the desert support cactus and thorny bushes, while wet, marshy, deltaic soils support mangroves and deltaic vegetation. The hill slopes with some depth of soil have conical trees. Climate. Temperature. The character and extent of vegetation are mainly determined by temperature along with humidity in the air, precipitation in soil. On the slopes of the Himalayas and the hills of the peninsula above the height of 915 meters, the fall in the temperature affects the types of vegetation and its growth, and changes it from tropical to subtropical, temperate, and alpine vegetation. Photoperiod, sunlight. The variation in duration of sunlight at different places is due to differences in latitude, altitude, season, and duration of the day. Due to longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer. Precipitation. In India, almost the entire rainfall is brought in by the advancing southwest monsoon, June to September, and retreating northeast monsoons. Areas of heavy rainfall have more dense vegetation as compared to other areas of less rainfall. Have you ever thought as to why forests are important for human beings? Forests are renewable resources and play a major role in enhancing the quality of environment. They modify local climate, control soil erosion, regulate stream flow, support a variety of industries, provide livelihood for many communities, and offer panoramic or scenic view for recreation. It controls wind force and temperature and causes rainfall. It provides humus to the soil and shelter to the wildlife. India's natural vegetation has undergone many changes due to several factors such as the growing demand for cultivated land, development of industries and mining, urbanization, and overgrazing of pastures. The vegetation cover of India in large parts is no more natural in the real sense. Except in some inaccessible regions like the Himalayas, the hilly region of central India, and the Marusthali, the vegetation of most of the areas has been modified at some places, or replaced or degraded by human occupancy. Ecosystem. Plants occur in distinct groups of communities in areas having similar climatic conditions. The nature of the plants in an area, to a large extent, determines the animal life in that area. When the vegetation is altered, the animal life also changes. All the plants and animals in an area are interdependent and interrelated to each other in their physical environment, thus, forming an ecosystem. Human beings are also an integral part of the ecosystem. How do the human beings influence the ecology of a region? They utilize the vegetation and wildlife. The greed of human beings leads to overutilization of these resources. They cut the trees and kill the animals, creating ecological imbalance. As a result, some of the plants and animals have reached the verge of extinction. Do you know that a very large ecosystem on land having distinct types of vegetation and animal life is called a biome? The biomes are identified on the basis of plants. Types of vegetation. The following major types of vegetation may be identified in our country. 1. Tropical rainforests. 2. Tropical deciduous forests. 3. Tropical thorn forests and scrubs. 4. Montane forests. 5. Mangrove forests. Tropical rainforests. These forests are restricted to heavy rainfall areas of the Western Ghats and the island groups of Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar, upper parts of Assam and Tamil Nadu coast. They are at their best in areas having more than 200 centimeters of rainfall with a short dry season. The trees reach great heights up to 60 meters or even above. Since the region is warm and wet throughout the year, it has a luxuriant vegetation of all kinds, trees, shrubs, and creepers, giving it a multi-layered structure. There is no definite time for trees to shed their leaves. As such, these forests appear green all the year round. Some of the commercially important trees of this forest are ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber and cinchona. The common animals found in these forests are elephants, monkey, lemur and deer. The one-horned rhinoceros are found in the jungles of Assam and West Bengal. Besides these animals, plenty of birds, bats, sloth, scorpions and snails are also found in these jungles. Tropical deciduous forests. These are the most widespread forests of India. They are also called the monsoon forests and spread over the region, receiving rainfall between 200 centimeters and 70 centimeters. Trees of this forest type shed their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in dry summer. On the basis of the availability of water, these forests are further divided into moist and dry deciduous. The former is found in areas receiving rainfall between 200 and 100 centimeters. These forests exist, therefore, mostly in the eastern part of the country, northeastern states, along the foothills of the Himalayas, Jharkhand, West Orissa and Chhattisgarh, and on the eastern slopes of the Western Ghats. Teak is the most dominant species of this forest. Bamboos, sal, shisham, sandalwood, care, kusum, arjun, mulberry are other commercially important species. The dry deciduous forests are found in areas having rainfall between 100 centimeters and 70 centimeters. These forests are found in the rainier parts of the peninsular plateau and the plains of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. There are open stir tea chests in which teak, sal, peepal, neem grow. A large part of this region has been cleared for cultivation and some parts are used for grazing. In these forests, the common animals found are lion, tiger, pig, deer and elephant. A huge variety of birds, lizards, snakes, and tortoises are also found here. The thorn forests and scrubs. In regions with less than 70 centimeters of rainfall, the natural vegetation consists of thorny trees and bushes. This type of vegetation is found in the northwestern part of the country, including semi-arid areas of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. Acacias, palms, euphorbias and cacti are the main plant species. Trees are scattered and have long roots penetrating deep into the soil in order to get moisture. The stems are succulent to conserve water. Leaves are mostly thick and small to minimize evaporation. These forests give way to thorn forests and scrubs in arid areas. In these forests, the common animals are rats, mice, rabbits, fox, wolf, tiger, lion, wild ass, horses and camels. Mountain forests. In mountainous areas, the decrease in temperature with increasing altitude leads to the corresponding change in natural vegetation. As such, there is a succession of natural vegetation belts in the same order as we see from the tropical to the tundra region. The wet temperate type of forests are found between a height of 1,000 and 2,000 meters. Evergreen broadleaf trees such as oaks and chestnuts predominate. Between 1,500 and 3,000 meters, temperate forests containing coniferous trees like pine, deodar, silver, fir, spruce and cedar, are found. These forests cover mostly the southern slopes of the Himalayas, places having high altitude in southern and northeast India. At higher elevations, temperate grasslands are common. At high altitudes, generally more than 3,600 meters above sea level, temperate forests and grasslands give way to the alpine vegetation. Silver fir, junipers, pines and birches are the common trees of these forests. However, they get progressively stunted as they approach the snowline. Ultimately, through shrubs and scrubs, they merge into the alpine grasslands. These are used extensively for grazing by nomadic tribes like the Gujars and the Bakarwals. At higher altitudes, mosses and lichens form part of tundra vegetation. The common animals found in these forests are Kashmir stag, spotted deer, wild sheep, jack-rabbit, Tibetan antelope, yak, snow leopard, squirrels, shaggy horn wild ibex, bear and rare red panda, sheep and goats with thick hair. Mangrove forests. The mangrove tidal forests are found in the areas of coasts influenced by tides. Mud and silt get accumulated on such coasts. Dense mangroves are the common varieties with roots of the plants submerged underwater. The deltas of the Ganga, the Mahanadi, the Krishna, the Godavari and the Kaveri are covered by such vegetation. In the Ganga-Brahmaputra delta, Sundari trees are found, which provide durable hard timber. Palm, coconut, kora, agar, also grow in some parts of the delta. Royal Bengal tiger is the famous animal in these forests. Turtles, crocodiles, gharials and snakes are also found in these forests. Medicinal plants. India is known for its herbs and spices from ancient times. Some 2,000 plants have been described in Ayurveda and at least 500 are in regular use. The World Conservation Union's Red List has named 352 medicinal plants, of which 52 are critically threatened and 49 endangered. The commonly used plants in India are Sarpaganda, used to treat blood pressure, it is found only in India. Jamun, the juice from ripe fruit is used to prepare vinegar which is carminative and diuretic, and has digestive properties. The powder of the seed is used for controlling diabetes. Arjun, the fresh juice of leaves is a cure for earache. It is also used to regulate blood pressure. Babul, leaves are used as a cure for eye sores. Its gum is used as a tonic. Neem, has high antibiotic and antibacterial properties. Tulsi plant, is used to cure cough and cold. Kachnar, is used to cure asthma and ulcers. The buds and roots are good for digestive problems. Identify more medicinal plants in your area. Which plants are used as medicines by local people to cure some diseases? Source, Medicinal Plants by Drs. K. Jain, 5th edition 1994, National Book Trust of India. Wildlife. Like its flora, India is also rich in its fauna. It has more than 89,000 of animal species. The country has more than 1,200 species of birds. They constitute 13% of the world's total. There are 2,500 species of fish, which account for nearly 12% of the world's stock. It also shares between 5 and 8% of the world's amphibians, reptiles and mammals. The elephants are the most majestic animals among the mammals. They are found in the hot wet forests of Assam, Karnataka and Kerala. Horned rhinoceroses are the other animals, which live in swampy and marshy lands of Assam and West Bengal. Arid areas of the Rann of Kachich and the Thar Desert are the habitat for wild ass and camels respectively. Indian bison, nilgai, blue bull, chousingha, four-horned antelope, gazelle and different species of deer are some other animals found in India. It also has several species of monkeys. India is the only country in the world that has both tigers and lions. The natural habitat of the Indian lion is the Gir forest in Gujarat. Tigers are found in the forests of Madhya Pradesh, the Sundarbans of West Bengal and the Himalayan region. Leopards too are members of the cat family. They are important among animals of prey. The Himalayas harbor a hardy range of animals, which survive in extreme cold. Ladakh's freezing high altitudes are a home to yak, the shaggy horned wild ox weighing around 1 ton, the Tibetan antelope, the baral, blue sheep, wild sheep, and the kiang, Tibetan wild ass. Furthermore, the ibex, bear, snow leopard and very rare red panda are found in certain pockets. In the rivers, lakes and coastal areas, turtles, crocodiles and gharials are found. The latter is the only representative of a variety of crocodile found in the world today. Bird life in India is colorful. Peacocks, pheasants, ducks, parakeets, cranes and pigeons are some of the birds inhabiting the forests and wetlands of the country. We have selected our crops from a biodiverse environment, i.e., from the reserve of edible plants. We also experimented and selected many medicinal plants. The animals were selected from large stock provided by nature as milch animal. They also provided us draft power, transportation, meat, eggs. The fish provide nutritive food. Many insects help in pollination of crops and fruit trees and exert biological control on such insects, which are harmful. Every species has a role to play in the ecosystem. Hence, conservation is essential. As has been mentioned earlier, due to excessive exploitation of the plants and animal resources by human beings, the ecosystem has been disturbed. About 1,300 plant species are endangered and 20 species are extinct. Quite a few animal species are also endangered and some have become extinct. The main causes for this major threat to nature are hunting by greedy hunters for commercial purposes, pollution due to chemical and industrial waste, acid deposits, introduction of alien species and reckless cutting of the forests to bring land under cultivation and inhabitation, are also responsible for the imbalance. To protect the flora and fauna of the county, the government has taken many steps. 14 biosphere reserves have been set up in the country to protect flora and fauna. 4 out of these, the Sundarbans in the West Bengal, Nanda Devi in Uttaranchal, the Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu and the Nilgiris, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, have been included in the World Network of Biospheres Reserves. 2. Financial and technical assistance is provided to many botanical gardens by the government since 1992. 3. Project Tiger, Project Rhino, Project Great Indian Bustard and many other eco-developmental projects have been introduced. 4. 103 national parks, 535 wildlife sanctuaries and zoological gardens are set up to take care of natural heritage. All of us must realize the importance of the natural ecosystem for our own survival. It is possible if indiscriminate destruction of natural environment is put to an immediate end. 18 bio-reserves are Sundarbans, Simlipal, Gulf of Mannar, Dihang Dibang, Nilgiri, Dibru Saikhowa, Nanda Devi, Agastyamalai, Nokrek, Kangchenjunga, Great Nicobar, Pachmarhi, Manas, Achanak Maramarkantik, Kach, Cold Desert, Seshachalam, Panna. What is migratory birds? Some of the wetlands of India are popular with migratory birds. During winter, birds, such as Siberian crane, come in large numbers. One such place favorable with birds is the Rann of Kachich. At a place where the desert merges with the sea, flamingo with their brilliant pink plumage come in thousands to build nest mounds from the salty mud and raise their young ones. It is one among many extraordinary sights in the country. Is it not a rich natural heritage of ours? Chapter 6. Population. Can you imagine a world without human beings? Who would have utilized the resources and created social and cultural environment? The people are important to develop the economy and the society. The people make and use resources and are themselves resources with varying quality. Coal is but a piece of rock, until people were able to invent technology to obtain it and make it resource. Natural events, like a flood or a tsunami, becomes a disaster only when they affect a crowded village or a town. Hence, population is the pivotal element in social studies. It is the point of reference from which all other elements are observed and from which they derive significance and meaning. Resources, calamities, and disasters are all meaningful only in relation to human beings. Their numbers, distribution, growth and characteristics or qualities provide the basic background for understanding and appreciating all aspects of the environment. Human beings are producers and consumers of Earth's resources. Therefore, it is important to know how many people are there in a country, where do they live, how and why their numbers are increasing and what are their characteristics. The Census of India provides us with information regarding the population of our country. We are primarily concerned with three major questions about population. Population size and distribution: how many people are there and where are they located? Population growth and processes of population change: how has the population grown and changed through time? Characteristics or qualities of the population: what are their age, sex composition, literacy levels, occupational structure and health conditions? Population size and distribution. India's population size and distribution by numbers. India's population as on March 2011 stood at 1,210.6 million, which account for 17.5% of the world's population. These 1.21 billion people are unevenly distributed over our country's vast area of 3.28 million square km, which accounts for 2.4% of the world's area, figure 6.1. The 2011 census data reveal that Uttar Pradesh, with a population size of 199 million, is the most populous state of India. Uttar Pradesh accounts for about 16% of the country's population. On the other hand, the Himalayan state of Sikkim has a population of just about 0.6 million and Lakshadweep has only 64,429 people. Almost half of India's population lives in just 5 states. These are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh. Rajasthan, the biggest state in terms of area, has only 5.5% of the total population of India, figure 6.2. India's population distribution by density. Population density provides a better picture of the uneven distribution. Population density is calculated as the number of persons per unit area. India is one of the most densely populated countries of the world. The population density of India in the year 2011 was 382 persons per square kilometer. Densities vary from 1,102 persons per square kilometer in Bihar to only 17 persons per square kilometer in Arunachal Pradesh. A study of the figure 6.3 shows the pattern of uneven distribution of population densities at the state level. Note the states with population densities below 250 persons per square km. Rugged terrain and unfavorable climatic conditions are primarily responsible for sparse population in these areas. Which states have density below 250 persons per square km? Assam and most of the peninsular states have moderate population densities. Hilly, dissected and rocky nature of the terrain, moderate to low rainfall, shallow and less fertile soils have influenced population densities in these areas. The northern plains and Kerala in the south have high to very high population densities because of the flat plains with fertile soils and abundant rainfall. Identify the 3 states of the northern plains with high population densities. What is census? A census is an official enumeration of population done periodically. In India, the first census was held in the year 1872. The first complete census, however, was taken in the year 1881. Since then, censuses have been held regularly every 10th year. The Indian census is the most comprehensive source of demographic, social and economic data. Have you ever seen a census report? Check in your library if it has one. Do you know? Only Bangladesh and Japan have higher average population densities than India. Find out the population densities of Bangladesh and Japan. Population growth and processes of population change. Population is a dynamic phenomenon. The numbers, distribution and composition of the population are constantly changing. This is the influence of the interaction of the 3 processes, namely, births, deaths and migrations. Population growth. Growth of population refers to the change in the number of inhabitants of a country, territory during a specific period of time, say during the last 10 years. Such a change can be expressed in 2 ways, in terms of absolute numbers and in terms of percentage change per year. The absolute numbers added each year or decade is the magnitude of increase. It is obtained by simply subtracting the earlier population, e.g. that of 2001, from the later population, e.g. that of 2011. It is referred to as the absolute increase. The rate or the pace of population increase is the other important aspect. It is studied in percent per annum, e.g. a rate of increase of 2% per annum means that in a given year, there was an increase of 2 persons for every 100 persons in the base population. This is referred to as the annual growth rate. India's population has been steadily increasing from 361 million in 1951 to 1,210 million in 2011. Table 6.1 and Figures 6.4a and 6.4b reveal that from 1951 to 1981, the annual rate of population growth was steadily increasing, which explains the rapid increase in population from 361 million in 1951 to 683 million in 1981. Since 1981, however, the rate of growth started declining gradually. During this period, birth rates declined rapidly. Still 182 million people were added to the total population in the 1990s alone, an annual addition larger than ever before. It is essential to realize that India has a very large population. When a low annual rate is applied to a very large population, it yields a large absolute increase. When more than a billion people increase even at a lower rate, the total number being added becomes very large. India's annual increase in population is large enough to neutralize efforts to conserve the resource endowment and environment. The declining trend of the growth rate is indeed a positive indicator of the efforts of birth control. Despite that, the total additions to the population base continue to grow, and India may overtake China in 2045 to become the most populous country in the world. Processes of population change growth. There are three main processes of change of population: birth rates, death rates, and migration. The natural increase of population is the difference between birth rates and death rates. Birth rate is the number of live births per thousand persons in a year. It is a major component of growth because in India, birth rates have always been higher than death rates. Death rate is the number of deaths per thousand persons in a year. The main cause of the rate of growth of the Indian population has been the rapid decline in death rates. Till 1980, high birth rates and declining death rates led to a large difference between birth rates and death rates, resulting in higher rates of population growth. Since 1981, birth rates have also started declining gradually, resulting in a gradual decline in the rate of population growth. What are the reasons for this trend? The third component of population growth is migration. Migration is the movement of people across regions and territories. Migration can be internal, within the country, or international, between the countries. Internal migration does not change the size of the population, but influences the distribution of population within the nation. Migration plays a very significant role in changing the composition and distribution of population. In India, most migrations have been from rural to urban areas because of the push factor in rural areas. These are adverse conditions of poverty and unemployment in the rural areas and the pull of the city in terms of increased employment opportunities and better living conditions. Migration is an important determinant of population change. It changes not only the population size but also the population composition of urban and rural populations in terms of age and sex composition. In India, the rural-urban migration has resulted in a steady increase in the percentage of population in cities and towns. The urban population has increased from 17.29% of the total population in 1951 to 31.80% in 2011. There has been a significant increase in the number of million-plus cities from 35 to 53 in just one decade, i.e., 2001 to 2011. Age composition. The age composition of a population refers to the number of people in different age groups in a country. It is one of the most basic characteristics of a population. To an important degree, a person's age influences what he/she needs, buys, does, and his/her capacity to perform. Consequently, the number and percentage of a population found within the children, working age and age groups are notable determinants of the population's social and economic structure. The population of a nation is, generally, grouped into three broad categories. Children, generally below 15 years. They are economically unproductive and need to be provided with food, clothing, education and medical care. Working age 15 to 59 years. They are economically productive and biologically reproductive. They comprise the working population. Aged above 59 years. They can be economically productive though they may have retired. They may be working voluntarily but they are not available for employment through recruitment. The percentage of children and the aged affect the dependency ratio because these groups are not producers. The proportion of the three groups in India's population is already presented in Figure 6.5. Activity. How many children do you know who are engaged as household helpers or laborers in your locality? How many adults do you know in your locality who are unemployed? What do you feel are the reasons for this? Sex ratio. Sex ratio is defined as the number of females per 1,000 males in the population. This information is an important social indicator to measure the extent of equality between males and females in a society at a given time. The sex ratio in the country has always remained unfavorable to females. Find out why this is so. Table 6.2 shows the sex ratio from 1951-2011. Table 6.2, India, sex ratio 1951-2011. Census year. Sex ratio. 1951, 946. 1961, 941. 1971, 930. 1981, 934. 1991, 929. 2001, 933. 2011, 943. Kerala has a sex ratio of 1084 females per 1,000 males, Puducherry has 1038 females for every 1,000 males, while Delhi has only 866 females per 1,000 males and Haryana has just 877. Literacy rates. Literacy is a very important quality of a population. Obviously, only an informed and educated citizen can make intelligent choices and undertake research and development projects. Low levels of literacy are a serious obstacle for economic improvement. According to the Census 2011, a person aged 7 years and above, who can read and write with understanding in any language, is treated as literate. There has been a steady improvement in the literacy levels in India. The literacy rate in the country as per the census of 2011 is 73%, 80.9% for males and 64.6% for females. Why do such differences exist? Occupational structure. The percentage of population that is economically active is an important index of development. The distribution of the population according to different types of occupation is referred to as the occupational structure. An enormous variety of occupations are found in any country. Occupations are, generally, classified as primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary activities include agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fishing, mining and quarrying, etc. Secondary activities include manufacturing industry, building and construction work, etc. Tertiary activities include transport, communications, commerce, administration and other services. The proportion of people working in different activities varies in developed and developing countries. Developed nations have a high proportion of people in secondary and tertiary activities. Developing countries tend to have a higher proportion of their workforce engaged in primary activities. In India, about 64% of the population is engaged only in agriculture. The proportion of population dependent on secondary and tertiary sectors is about 13 and 20% respectively. There has been an occupational shift in favor of secondary and tertiary sectors because of growing industrialization and urbanization in recent times. Health. Health is an important component of population composition, which affects the process of development. Sustained efforts of government programs have registered significant improvements in the health conditions of the Indian population. Death rates have declined from 25 per 1,000 population in 1951 to 7.2 per 1,000 in 2011, and life expectancy at birth has increased from 36.7 years in 1951 to 67.9 years in 2012. The substantial improvement is the result of many factors including improvement in public health, prevention of infectious diseases and application of modern medical practices in diagnosis and treatment of ailments. Despite considerable achievements, the health situation is a matter of major concern for India. The per capita calorie consumption is much below the recommended levels and malnutrition afflicts a large percentage of our population. Safe drinking water and basic sanitation amenities are available to only 1/3 of the rural population. These problems need to be tackled through an appropriate population policy. Adolescent population. The most significant feature of the Indian population is the size of its adolescent population. It constitutes 1/5 of the total population of India. Adolescents are, generally, grouped in the age group of 10 to 19 years. They are the most important resource for the future. Nutrition requirements of adolescents are higher than those of a normal child or adult. Poor nutrition can lead to deficiency and stunted growth. But in India, the diet available to adolescents is inadequate in all nutrients. A large number of adolescent girls suffer from anemia. Their problems have so far not received adequate attention in the process of development. The adolescent girls have to be sensitized to the problems they confront. Awareness among them can be improved through the spread of literacy and education. National population policy. Recognizing that the planning of families would improve individual health and welfare, the Government of India initiated a comprehensive family planning program in 1952. The Family Welfare Program has sought to promote responsible and planned parenthood on a voluntary basis. The National Population Policy, NDP 2000 is a culmination of years of planned efforts. The NPP 2000 provides a policy framework for imparting free and compulsory school education up to 14 years of age, reducing infant mortality rate to below 30 per 1,000 live births, achieving universal immunization of children against all vaccine-preventable diseases, promoting delayed marriage for girls, and making family welfare a people-centered program. NPP 2000 and adolescence. NPP 2000 identified adolescents as one of the major section of the population that need greater attention. Besides nutritional requirements, the policy puts greater emphasis on other important needs of adolescent including protection from unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. It called for programs that aim towards encouraging delayed marriage and childbearing, education of adolescents about the risks of unprotected sex, making contraceptive services accessible and affordable, providing food supplements, nutritional services, and strengthening legal measures to prevent child marriage. People are the nation's most valuable resource. A well-educated, healthy population provides potential power. Glossary. Adolescence. Adolescence is a period in which a person is no longer a child and not yet an adult. Such persons are grouped in the age group of 10 to 19 years. Alluvial plain. A level tract of land made up of alluvium or fine rock material brought down by a river. Base population. The total population of an area at the beginning of a given time period. Biome. Plant communities occurring in distinct groups in areas having similar climatic conditions. Birth rate. The number of live births for every 1,000 persons in a year. Depression. In meteorology, it denotes an area of relatively low atmospheric pressure, which is found mainly in temperate regions. In geology, it refers to a hollow sunken area of the Earth's surface. Death rate. The number of deaths per 1,000 persons in year. Density of population. The average number of persons per unit area, such as a square kilometer. Dependency ratio. The ratio of people of dependent age below 15 and above 60 years to people of economically active ages 15 to 59 years. Ecosystem. A system which comprises the physical environment and the organisms living therein. Environment. Surroundings are the conditions under which a person or thing exists and develops his or its character. It covers both physical and cultural elements. Fault. A linear break in rocks of the Earth's crust along which there has been displacement in a horizontal, vertical or oblique direction. Fauna. The animal life of a given area. Flora. The total vegetation or plant cover of a region. Fold. A bend in the rock strata resulting from compression of an area of the Earth's crust. Geosyncline. A narrow, shallow, elongated basin with a sinking bottom in which a considerable thickness of sediments was deposited by the rivers coming from Angara and Gondwanaland. Glacier. A mass of snow and ice that moves slowly under the influence of gravity along a confined course away from its place of accumulation. Growth rate of population. The growth rate of population indicates the rate at which the population is growing. In estimating the growth rate, the increase in population is compared with the base population. It can be measured annually or over a decade. Indian mainland. It refers to the contiguous stretch of landmass from Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh. Indian Standard Time. The local time along the standard meridian of India, 82 degrees 30 E. Inland drainage. A drainage system in which the waters of the rivers do not reach the oceans but fall into an inland sea or lake. Igneous rocks. Rocks formed as a result of solidification of magma either below the Earth's surface or above it. Lagoon. A saltwater lake separated from the sea by the sandbars and spits. Lake. A body of water that lies in a hollow in the Earth's surface and is entirely surrounded by land. Lithospheric plates. Large segments of the Earth's crust composed of continental and oceanic lithospheric parts, floating above the asthenosphere. Life expectancy. The average number of years one is expected to live. Local time. The time of a place determined by the midday sun is called the local time. Metamorphic rocks. Deformation and alteration of pre-existing igneous and sedimentary rocks as a result of changes in physical and chemical conditions due to intense heat or pressure. Migration. Movement of people from one place to another. Internal migration means movement of people within a country and external migration means movement of people between countries. When people come to a country from another country, it is called immigration, and when they leave that country, it is called emigration. Million-plus cities. Cities with a population of more than 1 million or 10 lakh. Monsoon. A complete reversal of winds over a large area leading to a change of seasons. Mountain. An upward projected features of the Earth's surface that rises to high altitude and usually possesses steep slopes. National Park. A reserved area for preserving its natural vegetation, wildlife and the natural environment. Plain. An extensive area of flat or gently undulating land. Plateau. An extensive elevated area of relatively flat land. Plate tectonics. The scientific concept that explains the movements of the crustal plates. Relief. The differences in elevation or the physical outline of the land surface or ocean floor. Subsidence. In meteorology, it is the downward movement of the air. In geology, it refers to the sinking of a portion of the Earth's surface. Sedimentary rocks. Rocks composed of sediments and generally having a layered structure. Sex ratio. Sex ratio is defined as the number of females per thousand males. Subcontinent. A big landmass, which stands out as a distinct geographical unit from the rest of the continent. Tectonic. Forces originating within the Earth and responsible for bringing widespread changes in the landform features. Young mountains. The fold mountains formed during the most recent major phase of folding in the Earth's crust.